Shalom Aleichem. This is Rabbi Kovacs, and we have an amazing day in Mishnah Yomi land. It is Erev Shavuot, so I wish you all a Shavuos Tov or Shavuot Tov in advance, and it is our first full day of Masechet Yoma. We are in chapter Aleph, Mishnah Bet, Kol Shivat Hayamim, all these 7 days. Remember, yesterday we said the Cohen Gadol was taken out of his house for 7 days before Yom Kippur and brought to live in the temple. So this week, Hu Zorik et Hadam, the Cohen Gadol himself, he sprinkles the dam. He throws the dam onto the mizbeach from the daily offerings. Umakdir et ketoret, and he burns the incense every day. Umetiv et nerot, and goes into the temple building and cleans out the lamps in the menorah. Umakriv et rosh et regel, and he brings the head and right leg from the Tamid offering up onto the mizbeach. Now the reason for this is training. These are things the Cohen Gadol is going to need to do perfectly on Yom Kippur, so we train him for a week in advance to be ragil, to be used to doing these activities. But this is a great message for Shavuot, is his Limud Torah was hands-on. He was doing it. He was hands-on learning. When we want to learn Torah, we have to show up. Now, not just a week, we should show up every day, but we have to show up consistently. As Mesilat Yesharim says, Torah Mevia lidei zehirot. Yeah, the first step is zehirot, is being careful. But zehirot comes through Torah, through showing up every day to learn and work to understand God's Torah. Now the Mishnah continues, Sha'ar kol yamim, and all the other days outside of Yom Kippur and the week before, im rotza lahakriv, makriv. If the Cohen Gadol wants to step in and bring that carbon, any carbon, he can step in and do it. He can pull rank. Cohen Gadol makriv chelik barosh. He's allowed to offer first. He gets first dibs. V'noto chelik barosh, and he can take the portion first from the parts of the karbanot that are eaten. So what's going on is typically there was a lottery of who's going to do shechita, who's going to do the ketoret, who's going to eat which part of this carbon chatas. For instance, that's a animal that's eaten by kohanim. Parts of it are. So the rotation, the Kohanim who are, that's their rotation, it's their week in the temple, they would draw lots. But the Cohen Gadol can step in and pull rank throughout the year. But the week before Yom Kippur, he has to pull rank to get educated with hands-on experience of how to do these activities. Now, Mishnah Gimel, Masru lo Zikanim Beziknei Beit Din. So they gave over to him, they assigned as his escorts, as his teachers, 2 elders from the high court, from the Sanhedrin. So they got him the members of the Sanhedrin who were expert in Yom Kippur, expert in Karbanot, to attend to the Cohen Gadol, and teach him and answer all his questions that we're going to see. The Korin Lefanav B'Seder Hayom, and they would read to him, from Vayikra, chapter 16, all about Yom Kippur. The Omrim Lo, and the 2 elders would say to him, Ishi Cohen Gadol, our master, the high priest, Kara Tabaficha, please read from the Torah scroll yourself. They would teach him. They would read to him. And they'd say, please come and read it. Shema shachachta. Maybe you forgot some of the steps of the avoda. O shema lo lamata. Or maybe you never learned it in the first place. Now, that's kind of an amazing statement to make because the Cohen Gadol is supposed to be very wise, well-educated. He's also supposed to be handsome and strong and rich. He's Cohen Gadol me'echav, is what the pasuk says. He should be mamish, a great man. Not just great physically and materially, but in wisdom, in Torah learning. But later on in the Second Temple period, there were instances where the office was purchased through bribery to the king or the officials, and there were times when the Cohen Gadol was not really the best man for the job. But Afal Pisken, even so, it was the ultimate responsibility of the Kohanim generally and the Sanhedrin to make sure this Cohen Gadol, who was not really fit for the job, was prepared well enough to carry out his assigned tasks. The Mishnah continues, Erev Yom Kippurim Shacharit, the day before Yom Kippur in the morning, Ma'amidin Oto Bishar Mizrach, they would stand in front of the temple, they'd have him stand up in front of the east gate of the temple, Ma'avirin Lefonav, and they would pass in front of him, Parim Ve'elim Kvosim, bulls and ram and sheep, Shepsulas, Kadesh Ye Makir V'Ragil Be'avoda, so he will recognize each animal and be used to doing its avoda. Now, obviously, the Cohen Gadol was never such an idiot that he didn't know what a sheep is a sheep and a cow is a cow. The idea is to see where on the animal he's going to do shechita exactly, and to know, okay, when I get up to the bull, it's this step and this stage of the avoda. When I get up to the sheep, it's this. Now, what's missing here is the goats. The 2 goats are missing, and the Gemara explains because the goats explicitly come on sin, and we don't want the Cohen Gadol to be thinking and focusing on sins Erev Yom Kippur. Now, that sounds a little counterintuitive, but some of the Farshim explain, Yom Kippur as a whole, it's to mechaper on the sin, but we don't want to obsess over our mistakes. Yes, we want to do tshuva and repent and return and confess and rectify and change our mistakes, but we don't want to obsess about them and be paralyzed by them. I'm going to paraphrase Rabbi Nachman from Breslov. He says, more than the Yetzer Hara wants you to sin, the Yetzer Hara wants you to sin and then be depressed and upset and, petrified and mortified by the fact that you sin. Because if that's the case, then a person can't move on because he's stuck, he's obsessed, he's holding his sins, he's so that's part of the wisdom behind not putting the goats in front of the Cohen Gadol Erev Yom Kippur. Chazak uvruch, be well, Chag Sameach, Good Yom Tov, Shavuot Tov.